This is the Global Broadcasting Service, serving remote outposts since 1928.
Hi, everyone. Welcome aboard the Walt Disney World Express Monorail.
Caramba, we have something really big for you today.
Welcome, foolish mortals.
Now then, hang on to them hats and glasses, because this here's the wildest ride in the wilderness.
This is the DBC Pod with Phil Schoen and Jason Dodge. All right, so now we're back. Part 2. We're here with Scott, a.k.a. Tom Servo. Last week, he gave us a rundown of his pre-Disney Japan trip. You were in Tokyo and some of the countryside for, what did you say, 9 nights? Scott, 10. I believe.
10
nights
altogether.
10 nights. So now, last week you mentioned that, you felt guilty where you're experiencing all the amazing culture and the sights and everything else. And obviously you can't just drive to Tokyo and check things out. It has to be a long planned trip. But now you're going to Disney. So you said last week that you were kind of feeling guilty, so run us through those emotions. You ready to start your Disney trip? I probably should have asked this last week, but was Disneyland the main point of going over? Was that like your highlighted reason for going to Japan?
No, it was one of the highlighted reasons, but
Okay.
Yes, I wouldn't say it was but it's certainly, it's one I've had circled for a long time, that a place I wanted to go. So yes, it was definitely one of the main reasons we wanted to go.
So it was a shared with other things. Okay, so that makes a bit more sense, where you felt like you had all the other stuff that you're doing was kind of like a major thing, and then like, okay, I'm going to Disney, but did I miss out on anything else? Okay, so you said last week that you stayed at the Disneyland Hotel. So what was it like getting there, arriving there? Do you still have the same nostalgia feels and stuff like that when you go to Disneyland or Disney World and you hear the music and the architecture? Do you get that Disney bubble feel when you drove up for the first time?
Yeah. This is one thing I really want to talk about, our entrance into Tokyo Disneyland, the Disneyland Hotel. Like I said, I think I said this last week. We grabbed a taxi because as I said last week, we bought all this luggage, and I didn't want to be the guy on the train with all this luggage. The locals don't really love that, and I didn't really want to do that. So we grabbed another taxi, and as we're driving around, we come up. You start seeing it off in the distance. You can see some of the area, and our driver points out, "This is your hotel." It's huge. It looks really huge, and he's like, "Ah." And as we drive up, there's this big circle around coming up a hill, and it's an incredible entrance to the hotel. And there's these bellhops dressed they're like in these get-ups, the white gloves, the everything. And there's like 4 of them, and they're all waving us in, and even our taxi driver, I don't think he'd ever been there. He was like, wow. I got a little video of it, and we're all like, it was a little bit overwhelming. It was like, this is amazing. It was just like, they made you feel really special. Like you're coming in, and there's these 4, and they're all over. They're like, grab this, the service there is just everywhere. It was at Disney. It's just even another level. It's just top notch. It's amazing. And they were great. And I don't know about you guys. The one thing that really, like, I see a bellhop, I don't want anything to do with a bellhop. Because I know what comes at the end of somebody.
Hold the hand out. Yep.
Yeah. There's no tipping in Japan. We didn't tip one person. If you try to tip somebody, they'll look at you like, what is this for? They don't even understand it. If you leave a tip, like at a restaurant, they will run after you and give you your money back, because they don't really even understand what you're doing. And it's almost insulting to them that you would think you need to pay them for them to give you good service. So it was really nice to have this incredible, all these people coming up helping you, and you just felt like they were there just to help you. Nobody was there looking for money or something. It was awesome. And that hotel is the entrance is just beautiful.
So what I want to know, because I mean, Phil and I talk about this a lot. Disney does a wonderful job invoking emotion through sights, sounds, and smells. Like coming into the entrance of the hotel, and you're talking about getting there, you're automatically awed by the architecture and everything else. Is there good music playing? Like what is like the vibe as you're kind of going into the hotel, and you're feeling good, people are helping you. Do you start getting those Disney vibes?
Yeah, I was gonna ask, did it feel like going to a Disney hotel, or did it feel totally different?
It felt like a Disney hotel. You walk in, Minnie and Mickey, there's statues of Minnie and Mickey there. I would say it's very reminiscent of the Grand Floridian, that Victorian, except for it's more, instead of the white, it's more gold, yellows. I liked it a lot better than the Grand Floridian. I know something about the Grand Floridian is always a little stuffy, but this, I don't know, this place was really nice. Yeah. And as we go in, the check-in, we checked in. That process was really good. They're very helpful. Like I said, they're very helpful. And our room was ready. So
what time of the day was this?
This was probably around 1.
Okay.
About 1 in the afternoon, and our room was ready.
Nice.
Maybe even a little before, about 12:31. I think that's when we got there. So they already had all our luggage, and they brought that up later. But we went up to our room. Then we came back down, and the whole like entrance and everything, it's just spectacular. It's just big, it's grand, it's everything. There's a elevator there in the main entrance that looks like a carriage. So it's beautiful. The room was beautiful. Everything was great. So when we come down, our plan was to go. They have like an after 5 pass.
Okay.
There. I was like, well, we'll go after 5 if we're feeling. I didn't know how we'd feel, but we had that option, and my wife was beat.
So, if I remember correctly from last week, you said you have 2 nights of hotel only, basically how you book things. Then it was a single night of the vacation package, and then another night, to wrap up
off.
The vacation. Yeah. So when you originally booked, did you have tickets for the parks at this point, or are you able to just get them at the gate whenever and that not be an issue?
No, you're able to. You're guaranteed passes when you stay at a Disney hotel.
Okay,
and they
you
only
don't have to buy them ahead of time. Then.
Yeah, and they only have 1-day passes.
Oh,
there's no multi-day passes. You can only buy 1 day at a time. It's about $60 a day right now, depending on it. It goes up and down a little bit, but that's around $60 a day with the exchange rate right now.
That's not bad at all.
I know. If only. It's crazy. It is absolutely crazy.
3 times that here.
I know, but the after 5 passes were sold out.
Oh, okay.
And you aren't guaranteed an after 5 pass. So we just bought a full day pass, and we went in early. And my wife was, like I said, she was beat. So it was just my nephew and my daughter and I. But what was really cool is we go out and we walk out, because Disneyland's, I mean, you walk out and you walk like 100 yards and you're at the gates of Disneyland,
of the park. Okay.
And that's the front park.
Yeah.
Right? It's the only,
there's the monorail goes between the back of the Disneyland hotel, or the front. I don't know what you would call that, the front of the back. Because we come in, off the road, you come in the other side and you walk out the other side to get to the Disneyland hotel. So I don't know
which is the front, which is
the front to the back. But in between that and the gates to Disneyland, the monorail goes through. So like from our room, you could see the monorail. We didn't have a park view room, but you could still, if you kind of leaned out to the one side, you could see the castle, and you could see like Space Mountain and stuff looking straight out.
So going into the park, what I mean, you've got the 2 kids with you. Wife's back at the hotel, taking a nap, taking a rest. what you go into the park? What do you have a plan? Last week you talked about you're a planner. Did you have a plan, or did you just kind of want to wing it and go in there?
My main thing I wanted to accomplish was see the electric light parade that night.
Okay.
And there's two things I wanted to get done: electric light parade and Monsters Hide and Go Seek. Monsters Hide and Go Seek was going down for refurbishment the next day, so this was the only day I had to ride that ride.
Oh, were you were there basically just in time to get on it then? Okay.
So I knew that was going down for refurbishment. It was a 90-minute wait when we got in the park.
Oh gosh. Guess everybody knew it was coming.
This was like I said, some things, there's always things that fall through the cracks. There was a holiday that day. It was actually the holiday it's called Culture Day. It was Sunday. So it's like when we have a holiday on Sunday, you get everybody got Monday off. The kids weren't in school. So the park was really busy Monday.
Oh boy.
So that's why one of the reasons, that's a popular ride anyway, but that's one of the reasons it was 90 minutes. So I'm like, 90 minutes. And the kids are like, well, if you want to ride it, we'll ride it. And the Halloween parade was going on at the time. So we kind of stood back and watched that for a little bit. We were off the distance. That's a huge deal there, this parade, because it was brand new this year. It's just huge. I'll talk about that when we get back to Disneyland. It's insane how important this parade was to these people. But so after I hem-hawed around, I was like, 90. I don't like waiting right now. They're like, well, this is the only time I got to ride.
Do it. Yeah.
Let's get in it. And they're like, we'll wait. That's fine. So we get on there and we, that's what we did. I will say, just to backtrack a little bit, one thing that's interesting, it's so different when you walk into this park because of Main Street.
That's what I was going to next, like is the whole entryway. Go ahead.
Yeah, because it's covered. It's like a bizarro world of Main Street, sort of. I don't know what it is. It's just it feels like Main Street, but it doesn't. And their Main Street goes straight down, but there's two roads that leave off to the side, like halfway down. Mm-hmm. So it splits off, and you can go to different lands, taking that split off. But yeah, it's really cool. It's different. This is what, having been to Disneyland, and now coming here, I grew up at the Magic Kingdom. Mm-hmm. Whenever you get a chance to go to another castle park, it's really cool just to see
the differences.
It's like there's these familiar aspects, but then you look over there and something's not there that's supposed to be there, or it looks different,
or just looks or feels different.
Yeah, it's really cool. I love
I've been
that.
to Hong Kong Disneyland, and it was very similar to that. It was like, this is Main Street, but it looks and feels a little different, and that sort of thing. So that must have been a little trippy, and then you're deciding what you want to do and if you want to wait in the line.
But do you still get like my question is, do you still get like the Disney vibes, or is it like bizarro Disney, like you kind of mentioned? Is it like you still get the same warm and fuzzies? It's just a different experience.
You do. You do, because it's the same characters out walking around. Mm-hmm. There's that castle is an exact replica of the Magic Kingdom castle. Sure. Different paint now.
I was gonna say, it looked like what it used to look like. Yeah. They didn't paint it pink.
There's a lot of that in this, with this park. It's like you feel like you're going back in time in certain areas, because there's things that have changed that haven't changed there. It's very interesting. But no, so we did do Monsters. This was not a ride. One of the reasons I hem-hawed around about, I wasn't that excited about this ride. I thought, I knew what the concept of, you shine. I don't know if you're familiar with, you get a flashlight. You shine the flashlight at like little Monsters Inc., little M on the Monsters Inc. hard hat. There's hard hats all over the place, and something happens. Like a little thing pops up, and it's like, oh, man, that sounds cool. It was so much better than that. It's very, very quick, very chaotic. I thought, oh, you shine something, this happens. But it was like, you're turning, you're this, you're searching all over the place. So it was really fun. If you've rode the one in Disneyland in California, it's like, this is so much better. It's not even comparable. That ride it's fine. But this is a really fun ride, and I can see why it's so popular.
I've seen a few people mention on the message boards like they wish this was part of the plans for the Monsters Land coming to Hollywood Studios in Florida, that they would bring this ride to it.
That would be really cool. This ride would be really, really popular, I think, if they brought this ride. I don't think it doesn't seem like it's that one of these rides that would cost, some of these rides are insanely expensive that they're building now. This doesn't seem like it'd be that. It's just really well done, really fun, really good ride. This was a real surprise. I really enjoyed this ride.
So you're heading straight over to this attraction. I know in your trip report on Discord, you mentioned people in costumes, people taking pictures. There's some like meet and greet differences and how they operate.
Yeah.
So did you know about some of these differences ahead of time?
Yeah,
or...
I did.
Okay, go ahead.
I knew how the meet and greets worked. The meet and greets we didn't really do any of the structured meet and greets, like where you get in line for Mickey or whatever. I'm assuming, I think those work pretty similar just to how ours work. You get in line, it's your turn, you go. But like when there's just roaming characters, or character comes out, everybody gets in a circle around the character, and then the character picks, who they're going to interact with.
Huh. And you just kind of watch the interactions, and that's part of the entertainment. And everybody's happy. And
if you get picked, you get picked. If you don't, I think this is a big cultural difference with Japan. They're like the gacha sort of mentality, the gashapon, that you put the quarter in or whatever, and you don't know what you're going to get. There'll be like 5 or 6 different things. Mm-hmm. And so those are huge. Those are everywhere. That's sort of like random. What's going to happen? I think things that doesn't necessarily wouldn't fly well in the U.S. They seem okay with, I think if you wouldn't
no
get,
big deal.
Yeah.
Whereas in here, there'd be people complaining or trying to cut the line or whatever.
And there's even the shows are all run on a lottery system. The big shows where you hit the thing and it tells you, I didn't get any of these. You didn't get it today. So there's like 3 shows at each park that are run that way. Complete lottery system.
That's so. What I mean, I kind of know what's going ahead on the rest of the thing. What attractions you did, but the one thing I'd like to ask, like, since this is your first experience in Tokyo and you're kind of seeing the cultural difference, or at least you read up on them, you're kind of seeing that and experienced that for the first time. Are there any other cultural differences just from a park operational point of view and how crowds reacted or whatever that kind of made themselves apparent when you went there? You notice?
Like at the parades, I think one of the biggest differences is nobody holds. No one is going to hold their phone above their head, let alone an iPad. Everything is held at eye level. Nobody's going to pick it up and hold it above their head. And they, like, the first 5 or 6 rows of the parade wall, sit down. So if you're like behind that, you can see the parade perfectly. They're much more orderly. They don't. I think one thing I know I talked to Phil about during my trip report was like strollers. Not very many strollers. You see strollers, but I mean it's a fraction. And there were kids, like especially that day, there was a lot of kids because the kids were off school, and a lot of little kids. Mm-hmm. They carry them.
Our first Disney World trip with my kids was, we had my 8-month-old son, and we had a single stroller for him, or we didn't have a stroller. My wife carried him in like one of those, kiddo backpack.
You see a lot.
Things.
You see a lot of those where like the front thing where the people have those too.
And I carried my daughter the whole time when she needed to be held, and she was 2 years old at the time. So,
and I kind of looked this up because I was like, I wonder why that is, because I thought, well, maybe it's something to do with the train and all that. All these things are. It's just hard to maneuver these things, but it's simply like in a crowded area, a crowded space. They feel like they're intruding on other people by having a stroller, so they carry their child. You also saw, I think I saw 4 ECVs the whole time I was there. You do see wheelchairs, pushing people in wheelchairs. I mean, not a ton. I saw more wheelchairs though than ECVs, actual wheelchairs.
Well, that's interesting. So we got off the Monsters Inc. about hour and a half to go through. So we're already starting to get into the evening at this point. Early evening is around 4 o'clock, I would imagine, or 5 o'clock.
Yeah, it's probably about 5.
What time was the parade, and what did you do in between?
I'm trying to think what we did next. I think
on your trip report, you said you went to Toontown and Roger
I think we went. Yeah, I was thinking we went to Roger Rabbit, the Toontown spin, and because I had done that before, but Zach, my nephew, and my daughter had never done that before. She didn't. When I went to Disneyland, she didn't go with us. My son went with us. So I thought, that's not no fast passes for that ride. So the line moves pretty good.
Okay.
That's one thing I enjoyed was there's a lot of non-fast pass rides. So if you can get, even in a busy day, you get in those, they're not, line moves. The waits aren't too bad. Most of the really long waits are all from whatever, has a fast pass component to it. Those are the rides. But no, that was fun. And their Toontown is great. It's really cute. It's funny to all the different stuff in Japanese. It's just it's kind of weird, hearing Mickey and all these things in Japanese. It was really cool. So yeah, I think we did that, and then we watched the Electric Light Parade from Toontown.
Okay. I was going to say, where did you watch it, and how did you choose to watch it from?
Well,
that's what was available.
It was a half hour away, I think, and we were able to get like a pretty good spot. And part of the reason we probably got a pretty good spot is the parade ended in Toontown. So the parade started like in a half hour, maybe it was 15 minutes. It was pretty close, but it takes like a half hour for that parade once it starts to get to Toontown.
Okay, so you had a longer wait.
Yeah. So, but that was something you talk about. Does something give you those feels?
Yeah, I was just gonna say
that music. It's that same exact music that that music coming at you, just like brought me back to my childhood, because that was always a highlight of the trip for us. Going every year was that Electric Light Parade. And it's so annoying. I'm so glad that something is coming back, because that was a staple of our trips growing up, But that really brought, even though that parade is different, I think with Disney, a lot of it is music too for me.
Oh yeah,
100%. That hit me. That was great.
So now the parade's over. It's the evening. What time does the park close, by the way?
9.
9. So it's similar to the stateside here.
It's always 9 to 9, and a lot of times they'll open up. They'll say their posted hours are 9 to 9, and they open up earlier a lot of times than that. But they notify when you stay at the hotel. They notify you when they're actually going to open the park up. So
do they do fireworks or anything there, or is the parade kind of the evening entertainment?
Did fireworks? I'm trying to remember. I think out of the 4 nights we were there, they only had fireworks one night because of wind every night. And their fireworks, I would say pretty much everything they do is better except for fireworks.
Okay.
Their fireworks. And I don't know if that's because of where they're at. They can't do these huge displays being in the middle of the largest city in the world, and there's a lot of wind. The wind issues are big because they're right on the ocean.
Yeah, it's right on.
There's a lot of wind issues, but they have we never got around to see this. They do have a castle show.
Oh, projection show.
Projection show. Yeah, I couldn't. Thank you. They have a projection show every night with pyro with that. But it's it's a small pyro shooting stuff around the castle and stuff. But it's all like Disney movies and Disney music and stuff. That was pretty popular because that's pretty new there. But I never actually got around to seeing that one.
That's pretty cool.
Before you end the day, I did see one note you had here. You commented about people that dressed up as guests, and how that's different. Than
Jason asked me that.
stateside.
We kind of like when we were at Monsters. Like I'd say, when we walked into the hotel, at one point, off in the distance, there's two princesses. And I'm like, oh, there's some characters, and then I realized, no, that's just. There were like princesses all around the Disneyland hotel because it's a great spot for these girls that dress up as princesses to get pictures. I mean, I feel like 10% of the people are there, maybe more, to go and get pictures because they're dressed. I mean, you can get fooled. Their outfits are. I saw the Black Princess. No,
Tiana.
I saw Tiana. That if she wasn't Japanese, everything else was perfect except for she wasn't black. She was Japanese. I was like, it was stunning. So there's a lot that it's incredible. The lengths that they go to with their outfits. It was. I was fooled a number of times, and there's some mobile game there. I can't remember what it's called now. I should look this up before we came on because I had looked it up before. Because we kept, who are these people? We thought it was just some other random thing that people were dressing up, but it's a Disney mobile game. It's very popular there, and there is something about with villains. But we saw tons of
recruiters.
Huh?
Villain recruiters?
No.
No, that's in Disney Sea. Excuse me. I'm just Googling random stuff. Like, I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't.
Yeah, but there were just a ton of people dressed up as that. Saw a lot of, like when we were on the Monsters Inc. ride, one thing they do that I thought was really nice was you see a lot of people dressed up as Sully and
Mike Wazowski.
Mike. And they would let them come into that big room, that where the part of the queue was from the movie. So they wouldn't actually ride the ride, but they would let them come in and get pictures in that room and then let them leave. And then when we were in line, one of the cute things we saw this whole family dressed up in the hazmat suits.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I was wondering what that picture was.
And they had the two little kids were dressed up as Mike and Sully. So they had two like small kids dressed as Mike and Sully, cool. And the whole rest of the family was in hazmat suits. Yeah, they go all out. It's pretty incredible. I knew this. I'd heard this and I'd heard this and heard this, but when you actually see it, it's pretty amazing. So they love Disney there. I tell you,
I've seen plenty of the videos out there.
They really are into it. Like when I was at the parade, the lady, I got pretty excited. The lady next to me, she was so she was so happy. She was happy that I was happy. It was really cool.
So after the parade, you mentioned that you went on Jungle Cruise and Pirates.
Yes.
Did you choose those rides for any specific reason, or did you want to make sure that you got on that version of the ride? Was that part of the plan, go on a couple extra attractions before you got back to the hotel?
Well, it was, like I said, it was busy. And those are two non-fast pass rides. And they were both two rides that I definitely wanted to ride. So we were able to get those. Both those were like 15, 20 minutes. I mean, this is really busy. Like I said, it's a busy day. And those are both like 15, 20 minute waits. I don't even think Pirates was even that. I think Jungle Cruise might have been 15 or 20. And Pirates was like 10 or 15. Their Jungle Cruise it was interesting. It was really good, but it's all in Japanese, and our skipper, there wasn't a lot of laughter. So I don't know if she was telling jokes, but her energy was off the charts. I mean, it was really fun. And they have like, there's a cave area that was different, and they have a lot of the old stuff that hasn't been taken out. So
like the shrunken head stuff.
Yeah. All that stuff's still there. They don't change anything. But yeah, so that was interesting. Yeah. It was really good. If you like the Jungle Cruise, you'll love it. It's a great jungle cruise. And then Pirates is more similar to Disneyland's Pirates.
Mm-hmm. You
got the Blue Bayou there.
Mm-hmm.
So you float by the Blue Bayou first, and then you go through the tunnels. So it's very similar to that. It has the elements from the new movies there.
Okay.
So you have that part. But the rest of it is completely old school. They still wants the redhead there. There is like the men are chasing the women there. So that's a change that's
a long time ago.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, but it was cool to see that. I don't know. It just brought back memories. And I do love the red part is just doesn't it, and it's not, I understand the reasoning behind the change, but it doesn't really work. It's weird to me. They're selling chickens. None of it really makes sense.
I always said, like, the way I explained it to myself, and I don't even know if it still makes sense, but you have a woman that's managed to loot all the stuff, and you have a bunch of drunk pirates that want more loot, and so she's auctioning them off to the drunk pirates that don't know any better because they're all drunk dumb pirates. That's how I kind of like smooth it over my brain, even though that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
that's how I explain it to myself.
But it was fun to see the old version.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed it.
So that's where you wrapped up your day. Walk right back to the hotel at that point and get some sleep for your next day, or did you accomplish what you wanted to accomplish? Were you happy with everything?
Yeah. That was a lot of fun. Just to go in and, this wasn't a day that I was like, oh, I got to get, this was sort of a day that was, if we feel up to it, we'll go ahead and go into the park. Mm-hmm. And so
this is almost
I was really, really glad we did. One thing I want to bring up is, I mentioned, we talked a little bit about how I felt, I was a little guilty when the previous podcast about, but when we were all standing out, this is before we went into the park. I got a little choked up, and I was like, I didn't feel guilty at all anymore. It was awesome. that place just blew me away. The hotel, the service, everything was awesome. I was so glad we came, and any of those, because I was sitting there talking with my daughter, my wife, and Zach, and I'm like, I was felt. I said, because I talked to them, I said, I felt a little guilty about this at one point, but this is, and my daughter was so happy. She hadn't been to Disney in a while time. She was like, this just brings back something about Disney. Just brings it, all that stuff back.
Oh yeah, it's all the nostalgia,
it's
and the
just
family,
awesome.
the
And
emotions, and the memories. Yeah.
What is interesting is Zach he went with my brother for 2 weeks, 6 weeks before he was at Disney World for 2 weeks. So he had an interesting perspective because he had just came from Disney World.
Huh.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, this kid does nothing but go on vacation, I guess. But yeah, he was there for 2 weeks through September. So he had an interesting perspective on some of the things and seeing it. So
I just find it interesting where you start off before you getting to Disney feeling guilty of, is this too touristy? It's like maybe you feel like you're taking advantage of your time there by doing something that's a passion. But when you get there and you get the nostalgia, you get the feeling of Disney. But I think you get the uniqueness of the Japanese culture for sure, what it sounds like, with just the level of service, the originality, or the bringing back the old originals that you remember, and you're seeing them again. And definitely from what we had Chris on the podcast The Explorer. Was that 3 years ago, Phil? It was a long time ago.
It's probably about that.
Yeah, I remember that. It's been a while.
Yeah, so like what I'm trying to get at, I guess, is that while you think you kind of put Disney in the mindset of going to Disney World, right? It's just one other thing. But I think from what you're sounding like, is it like there's just this other layer of just Japanese culture on it that made you not feel guilty anymore? Is that basically kind of what you're getting at almost?
I just think this is the Disney of Disney just got me. You know,
yeah, okay.
It's been a while. I haven't been to. This was the first time I've been to a Disney park since the pandemic.
Oh wow! Okay, I didn't know
so it's been a while for me. My wife and I have been traveling a lot internationally, which has been great. We've went to some wonderful places. I didn't really want to go to Disney after the pandemic through some of the restrictions. I wanted to wait till things never developed that we got back down there. But last time I was in Disney was 2019. We were in Disneyland right before the pandemic in November.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a while for me, and it just brought back. I'm a pretty nostalgic person.
I think we all are, right?
Yeah, and it just brings back a lot of nice memories. Even though you're in a different place, there's so many of the same feels. And some of the, like I said, music. Those rides there's differences. The castle's pretty much just, it's just Fantasyland is Fantasyland. It looks a little different, but it's still Fantasyland. So yeah,
Hey, Phil, can you imagine not having a Disney World trip for 5 years? And then I always wonder, when I go to Disney World, I was there in November and I was there for the previous Decembers and everything else like that. When you start going more often, not that it becomes less special, but different things are more special than what you remember. But I wonder if it was like a 5-year break, you wash away the recency of everything, and that would we go to Disney World and be like, oh, I remember this. Sometimes I wonder, and I never want to do this. If you took like a 3-year break to go to Disney World, will you capture some of those old feelings again? The answer is probably yes. But that would also mean not going to Disney World for 3 years or 4 years or whatever.
Well, I think sometimes it's easy to get focused on the changes and things that are missing, and some of the negative things. But when you haven't been there, you're going to focus on all the positives and those feelings coming back. So I'm sure that hit you, like it probably hit you even more than if you had been more recently.
Yeah, there's something about, like I said, it had been a while since I went, and there were circumstances and some reasons why that didn't happen. And some of it was my choice. And some of it was just there was a pandemic that kind of screwed everything up. But there's something about Disney, though. I haven't been in 5 years. I still listen to your podcast. I listen to the touring plans. I listen to Lynn. I still follow. It's like, I'm not going, but I'm still following all this stuff. There's something about
fan for life.
It's in your blood. Once it's in your blood for me,
Yeah, 100%. So you take, I guess, a relatively early night, right? You're back in. I would assume that you get to bed maybe
I think it's
10
around
11 o'clock.
Yeah, so? I think it was around 8 or something, 8 or a little after 8. By the time we got out of that park, we didn't want to. We'd had a long day already, so
sure.
And we had Disney Sea tomorrow, so we went back and got some rest.
All right, so day 2 is basically your first full day at the parks, right? You said that you had a DPA and there's free fast passes. Can you explain the differences between the two and how they work?
Okay, you can't book any of this stuff until you're scanned into the park. Okay, so that's the number one thing. There's nothing unless you have a vacation package. If you have a vacation package, there's a couple of things you get to choose beforehand. But this first day that we're coming to now at Disney Sea is not a vacation package day.
Yep.
This is just a normal day. So I don't have anything booked ahead of time for this. But yeah, a DPA is
Premier something?
Well, Disney Premier Access.
Okay.
I think they're 20,000 or 2,000 yen or 1,500 yen. So 1,500 yen is $10 right now. About, you see 150 yen to the dollar. It's been up and down. Right now it's even over that. But so you're talking like maybe what, $13, $13.50 for like Beauty and the Beast would be 2,000. Like
oh, and these are like individual lightning lanes.
Yes. So okay. those are per ride. So you're looking at $10 to $13 per ride if you're booking those. And then they have what they call the 40th anniversary fast. This is basically just a fast pass, and they did away with fast passes for a while during the pandemic. They brought them back for the 40th anniversary, and they still call them the 40th anniversary fast pass, even though that's long since gone.
Typical Disney.
Yeah, the lingo there's a lot of different lingo you got to learn. But those there's maybe 5 or 6 rides like that you can book in Disneyland that have free fast pass. What would you call it? The 40th anniversary is the free fast pass.
Is it working like the old Fast Pass Plus stuff where you're using your phone with something? Is this
use your phone. Okay. When you book a DPA, you can't book another one for an hour or until you scan in, whichever comes first. So if you want to spend money every hour, they'll let you.
And you could repeat if you wanted to.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
You can. Then the 40th anniversary is every 2 hours, or scan. It's the same thing where you scan into the park. Then, so if you scan in before that, you can book another one.
Book the next one. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. Now you mentioned that you were planning. What was on your list to accomplish at Disney Sea for the day? Highlights.
Well, today, since we knew we had our vacation package day coming up on Thursday, this is Tuesday, I knew that I could get everything I wanted done at Fantasy Springs that day because we had unlimited rides, easy access. That wasn't going to be an issue. If I could get a standby pass or something, that'd be great. We'll maybe go in there and look around and see it. But so that was how I felt about Fantasy Springs. My plan was rope drop Indy and also get there's the roller coaster there now. I'm forgetting the name, but it's the Indy style roller coaster they have at Paris too. Raging Spirits. Those are right next to each other. I figured if we got a rope drop, I can get both those out. So that was sort of my plan. And I can't remember what was I get a fast pass for. I can't remember what I was getting a fast pass for at this point. What my plan was. See, the one bummer of this trip though was Journey to the Center of Earth was down for refurbishment. So I know that's highly thought of ride. One of the main things I wanted to do when I that popped up. I about cried when I saw that on the site, but that was sort of my plan to start.
And you were going to go from there.
Yeah. And I was going to I was going to book a fast pass, maybe book a DPA, and try and get a standby for one of the standby pass is just the free access to the line.
Yeah.
So you don't have to pay for that, but you have to get that to be able to ride one of the rides in Fantasy Springs.
Yeah.
Now, in Discord, you mentioned that it was a very busy day because of the holiday.
Yes.
Everybody was off. So I'm assuming your plans did not come to fruition.
We got to the park about 7:50, and it opened at 8:30.
Okay.
And so happy entry was 8:15. I didn't have happy entry because I was at Disneyland Hotel. So I was like, I wasn't gonna I didn't feel like I needed to kill myself to get there early. And we got there, and there was a lot of people there. We got there's
I see these videos of the lines.
The lines,
it looks insane.
It's insane. Like I said, they're professional queuers. They don't mind waiting in line. So we're like, okay. I thought my nephew was like, this is crazy. I was like, oh no, everybody says it moves fast. It'll be fine. Well, the park opened at 8:30. We scanned in at 9:15. It took us 45 minutes.
Oh my goodness.
And
so you were waiting an hour and 25 minutes from when you got online to when you got in the park. That's a long time.
Yeah. So there's no signal outside the park. I can't do anything with my phone. I can't load the app. I'm like, oh man, I need to load the app to scan in. Finally, I was able to get the app to load. And one thing you had to do, you have to make a group. So you just invite all the other members. So then, you can make fast passes for everybody.
Sure.
So you have to make a group. So I had made a group the day before. This is something that slipped through the cracks for me that I missed. So we get in the park. I'm like, all right, I'm trying to get my phone, and this is annoying. I'm trying to get, and I open my phone. And I was like, I'm the only one in the group.
Uh-oh.
Like, what the heck? And then like, my nephew has no service, so I had to have him piggyback off of my ride so I can send him an invite. Well, it turns out you have to make a new group every single day. I didn't know that. I thought, well, I made the group.
You're good to
Every
go.
day you have to make that group over again and make sure you have the group before you go in.
Pro tip right there, though. Okay.
So that's so stupid. I don't know what. So we get in and finally I'm starting to get a signal. Once you get through the park, like you get like magically everybody gets a signal. Because I use Arlo, which is like a eSIM. So we get in. Finally, I get everybody in. It takes me a little bit. I get everybody back in the group. I start looking for anything. All the Fantasy Springs stuff is gone. There's not one thing. I can't book one thing at Fantasy Springs.
Oh, man.
All gone. I'm like, Indy is like a 45-minute wait. It's not really. Didn't
really rope drop it.
So I was able to get a 40th anniversary fast pass for Indy. I was able to do that.
Okay, that's good.
So we're like, and I'm so frustrated at this point. Here I'm walking into this. The park is, y'all, everybody's seen it. It's amazing. It looks incredible. And I'm looking at my stupid phone. So this is probably the most frustrating part of the whole Disney experience for me. Is like the rest of my family is like, oh, look at this, amazing. And I'm stressing over trying to get these things to work. And I'm like, everything's just blowing up at this point. I don't know what to do.
Well, I mean, that's the pain millions of people don't realize when their party leader of their Disney adventure has to stare at their phone and stress about groups and times and all the stuff that you have to do. Phil, we've been talking about this for years, right? It's just like,
but at least we feel like we know what we're doing a little bit here.
Well,
like
here
when
you
get
are
there, and you're like, wait, I didn't know I had to remake the group. I didn't have a signal. I didn't like.
You're halfway across the world.
I'm feeling frustrated for you.
You don't know when you're ever going to get back there. And you're stressing out about these little things, and you just want to be able to walk through the park and enjoy it.
Yeah.
You mentioned two things on Discord. One, you just said park is absolutely beautiful. So what were your initial impressions coming into this park? Because obviously you've seen videos, you've been doing this, that. Is it like the videos do it no justice? Is it what was it that was striking about it?
I think it's just that it's like you got this huge volcano. It's like everything is so grand. It's like,
I think that might be the one thing that doesn't come through in the videos. Like, and it looks pretty, but like the scale of it probably doesn't come through.
And it is a big park. I mean, if you were to walk from Fantasy Springs, if you look at a map, it's like it's got to be farther than walking from the front of Epcot to the American Adventure.
Wow.
Yeah, okay. It's a ways back there. But yeah, it just opens up, and it's what's cool about it is it's just like no other park. And there is not one place you can go or stand where it's just not like, wow, I'm in Venice now. I feel like I'm in Venice. And it does. I mean, as crowded as it was there, it's probably less crowded than Venice. But yeah, it's pretty awe-inspiring, and the level of maintenance there is. This is the one part I think Disney should be embarrassed that another company can run their park, and you would never see some of the things you see, like what you see with Rise of the Resistance and things not working. I just don't. Things work in Japan generally everywhere. So I just don't think that is I think that may be one of the biggest cultural differences. They don't accept things not working. I'm not talking about the people. I think the people running things, that like trains aren't late. Everything works. And I just think that's one of the biggest differences in the park. I think and I don't know. We were there for 4 days, so I don't want to comment too much on this. But I only saw two things down the whole time we were there. So I don't know if we got lucky, and I may have missed things that were down too. But the maintenance level, everything looks pristine, and that whole park looks pristine. It's just off the charts. I mean, you look, there's a volcano. There's this massive boat off in the distance. There's Venice over here. It's incredible.
We're not going to talk about the Disney Springs or Fantasy Springs section just yet, because that was your next Disney Sea day. But I want to talk about the beauty of this park, because if I had to visit any international park, this would be my number one on my list, just because of how different it is, how unique it is. It's just not another castle park. And what are some of the things that you would love to see, or like the styles, or what about this park would you like to see in the additions in the Magic Kingdom, with the Cars Land and the Villains Land and whatever goes in Animation Courtyard 5, 6, 10 years from now? Like, is there something that stands out, or is it like the way the paths are integrated with the park, or is it where the buildings are? Like, what stands out to you that you want to see them bring to the stateside parks?
Well, there's one thing that, and I don't know that they can do this, but one thing that's kind of unique about this park is levels. You can be at different levels. It's like up, down, different. So I think that's a little bit harder to integrate into a park that already exists, obviously. But that's something that's really unique about it too. There's a lot of different levels of this park, where you're higher up at one end, or if you go walk around here, you're going to be higher than you were over there, and you walk around Epcot, it's just one big flat piece of earth, and that's Florida. But I mean, I don't think I think that was more design though. That's not because the areas, but I think it's just a level of theming. It's like you go to Galaxy's Edge. That's pretty. That sort of level of theming. That's the whole park.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not like when you go to Disneyland though. There is that park isn't this way. There's areas where it's like it's not like themed out to the hill. This whole area there's not a spot where you don't feel like wow. This is everywhere you go. It's incredibly themed and just looks fantastic.
Now, does the theming make you? Because you made a comment like you wrote, "I have never felt more lost in a Disney park. It took me quite a while to get my bearings. It really wasn't until the second day that I started feeling like I knew where things were." Is it because of the theming where you can't really shape the layout in your head and you just get lost in the experience? Is that part of it?
I think that's part of it. It's just different. It was so. I mean, really, the park does make sense once you kind of get the idea of it. And I think maybe I should have, I don't know. Even looking at a map, that once you're in the ground, you just see it just feels different than like a top view looking down at the map. Like, oh, I'll go here and I'll go here. When there's different levels and different stuff, that makes it just. Yeah, I'm like, I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do, and I think that's partly because it's just so completely different. I'm so used to all the other parks I've been to. I never, when I went to California Adventure, I didn't feel that way. That park, I'd never been to that park, but it didn't. Mm-hmm. I don't know. That felt pretty familiar.
I mean, if you just go to Google Maps and take a look at the park, because I'm staring at it right now, and I've stared at this map before, and it's just you have no sense of scale, size, anything. But the park is like part Epcot, part Magic Kingdom, part something you've never seen before, and it's like I could see getting lost in here because there's different sections where
and it doesn't seem like there's no hub and spoke or anything like that.
Yeah,
kind of
like I said, it's more three-dimensional. So there's that aspect to it where a flat map doesn't give you the idea of you're lower here.
Oh, I can't get there from here.
Yeah, well, it's just different. Yeah. And your sight line isn't what you might think it is. The one thing about you never get lost because you can almost always, only place you really can't see Prometheus, the volcano, is from Fantasy Springs. But everywhere else, there's always that to reorient with where you are. You know, it's not like you're lost, but it's just like, where do I go? What am I supposed to do? I don't know. The park is jammed too. That didn't help. So, and you're looking at the map and saying, oh, that's got a line. That's got a line. I'm always one looking for like, I don't want to wait in line for an hour and a half. But
so what did you get done that day, or what were some
well,
of the
we
highlights?
started off with 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Yeah, that's what we started with. That's an interesting take on that. My take on the original is probably different than most. I didn't love the original. I think a lot of people have a lot of fond feelings for that.
Oh yeah.
And when I rode it at Disneyland, I've never been claustrophobic in my life, but at Disneyland at the Nemo one, I started about that ride was longer than I remember it being too. I was like about halfway through, I was getting fidgety, but this was good. It's an interesting. You don't really go underwater. It's all like, theater of the mind. You're in a little thing with like 6 people. There's like two on each side and 2 in the front. And you got a big window in front of you. And it's just bubbles going in front. You know, I think you're just going through an area with.
Yeah, I think I've seen about how that one was made, and there's just water like
it's
in
full.
the window basically, but not outside.
This is a good ride. It's not. It's the kind of ride it's, they probably need more of. It's a good ride. Nothing bad, but, not everything needs to be,
ticket or whatever.
Yeah.
It's people
you need some of these other rides. But it's fun. I'm glad we did it. That area that it sets in is the Star, though. I mean, that's just amazing when you're in that whole area. It's fantastic. That theming, the mountain, you got the sub. Why can't I remember the name of the sub?
The Nautilus, right?
Nautilus, thank you. But yeah, that area is pretty spectacular where that sets.
So I'm trying to bring up your notes. So you wanted to just basically get all the stuff that you in the park outside of the Fantasy Springs done. Did you accomplish what you wanted to accomplish that day? I mean, I know you have.
No,
it's really tough to do. No, of course not.
But we had the main thing I wanted to accomplish was the nighttime show, and we did get that. I was like, at this point, I bought a DPA for the nighttime show.
Okay, so you can buy those for the shows, or at least that show.
And that was actually 2,500 yen, so that's a little bit more. That's probably like $17 a person. I don't care. I'm buying this. We're here.
Yeah.
I want to make sure I get this. And we probably could have did it without it, but it was nice to have a nice spot. But I think what we did, what we did next though after that was we went to I'm looking at my the ride with the Sinbad.
Okay.
Sinbad's is a really cool classic Disney dark boat ride. It's about, I don't know, it's got to be close to 15 minutes long. I don't know, at least over 10. But it is a really, really cool, really great music. Tons of animatronics. Each room you go through gets bigger. I mean, it's got a really catchy tune. And it's got the Zandu, I think, is the little cat.
The tiger or whatever.
Yeah, the tiger.
That's popular.
It's a really good ride. And that was like a 5-minute wait.
And then that's the one that has the big animatronic at the end, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I'd tried to avoid, I'd seen pieces. It's hard when you're online to avoid everything, but I don't, whenever I watch anything, I skip through ride throughs.
Yeah. I do the same thing.
Yeah. So that was, but that's a really good ride. It's something you can always do because it's always like 5 or 10 minutes. I think it's just like Pirates. It's that sort of large, high capacity ride that just pushes people through. There's no fast pass. So you can always, I think on the busiest day, I don't think it gets more than 15 minutes long. So
So what you wrote towards the end of the first day, it was your most frustrating day. Is that just because of the crowds, or is it because of everything got disheveled after your day?
I think the start of the day, and it just kind of snowballed. But I mean, we did the Venetian boats too stuff. So we got some stuff accomplished. We did a lot of the smaller stuff. Like they have the raised railway that goes around the whole thing. We did that, So we did a lot of the little quirky things that day that I didn't have to wait 120 minutes for. Because I mean, popcorn lines were like 10, 15 minutes long.
Wow.
Yeah, this day was pretty nuts, and I was like, oh my goodness, I hope the rest of this isn't going to be this way. But yeah, it was pretty hectic. We ate in Agrabah. Thank you.
It's late. You're allowed.
That was pretty good. That was like Indian curry. That's a really cool area. It's beautiful. We did a carousel there. That's where Sinbad is.
Mm-hmm.
So
then you said the highlight of the day was the nighttime show. Believe Sea of Dreams, I think it's called.
Believe Sea of Dreams. Yep.
And it's you wrote it's like their version of Fantasmic. It was 30 minutes long, and it's one of your favorite Disney nighttime shows.
Yeah, that was amazing. Yeah.
So what kind of show was it?
It takes place in the Big Lagoon, and it's just like a lot of floats going around. There's a big thing in the middle. So there's pyro. There's stuff on the hotel in Maricosta that they project. There's a lot of projections on Maricosta that go along with the show.
And if people don't know, that's the hotel that's actually in the park itself.
Yeah, that hotel is beautiful. I mean, it's part of the park, especially like when you're in Venice. Really beautiful. Mm-hmm. That hotel is kind of the backdrop of Venice. But yeah, I think Fantasmic is probably the best way to describe it, is that stylish show.
Okay.
But listening to the Genie rap in Japanese was pretty awesome.
Sure, why not? You don't get to hear that.
That was. And there's always like the music is always interesting because sometimes it's English. I don't know when they choose to use English, when they choose to use Japanese. Sometimes you listen to English, sometimes it's Japanese. Most of the spoken stuff is Japanese, like when the characters are talking and stuff.
Sure.
I don't even know what I don't know what the
storyline was already.
But it apparently doesn't matter because you said it was one of your favorite shows, nighttime shows. So I guess the music and the visuals translate enough to where you enjoy yourself.
Yeah, it's a spectacular show. It's really, really well done. I put that every bit as good, maybe better. I mean, I think World of Color is one of my favorite shows. So I'd play World of Color and this are two of the best shows. And then Fireworks and MK are always those three.
Now we need to get Matt Beto over there so he can see this, so he can rank his nighttime spectacular list. Because I believe in his last trip report, he said that Luminous is now his favorite over Happily Ever After. So
I really like Happily Ever After too. Those three, Happily Ever After, this one. I think this was pretty good. It's hard. You get recency bias sometimes.
Oh, yeah, of course.
The last thing you saw, but it's really, really good. I mean, it was like 32. It was like 32 minutes long.
Wow, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So your next day was your Disneyland day, part of your vacation package. You prefaced it in your trip report on Discord that it was an awesome day at Disneyland. So
it was a great day.
what was your plan for the day, and then what were like the highlights of what you accomplished?
Well, I talked it over with everybody. So what do you want to do? Do you want a rope drop? We already had so to start today, we have DPAs for Beauty and the Beast, Splash, and Baymax. Those are the 3 DPA rides. Those are the rides you can pay for.
Okay.
So, but those are the rides that I took one of each of those for you can select whatever you want, but I selected those 3. I said, do you want to rope drop Beauty and the Beast so we can do it twice? And they're like, well, let's do this. We talked about it. So we have happy entry today. Mm-hmm. So our plan was rope drop Pooh.
Okay. And they have the good version of Winnie the Pooh.
Pooh's Honey Hunt,
yes,
right? Yeah.
Pooh's Honey Hunt. So I think the park opened at 8:45. So happy entry then is 8:30.
Mm-hmm.
And we went down maybe around a little after 8. And with happy entry, this is the difference between happy entry and not having, we were scanned into the park at 8:34.
Okay.
So 4 minutes. It took me 4 minutes to get into the park. And I didn't go crazy early. I got down there like 20 minutes before.
That's not bad.
Get in. Yeah. So and it's literally a 100-yard walk from the hotel to the park entrance.
And then once you're in, that's when you can start booking everything, right?
Yeah.
So it's really even more than rope drop. It's the benefit
we
of
get
being
in,
able to book the stuff.
I've got my group made up.
Learned our lesson.
I book Big Thunder as a 40th. I didn't book any DPAs. We already had our DPAs, so I didn't feel the need to. I could have booked another Beauty and the Beast if I wanted to. Maybe I should have. That'd be the only thing maybe I could have done. And Big Thunder was like 9:30. So we get to Pooh's, and it's actually not open yet. Some of the rides they don't open until the park actually opens.
Okay.
So not even happy entry. You don't but it's only 15 minutes. By the time we got there, like within 3 or 4 minutes, the ride opened.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there was only like maybe 15, 20 people there. And so we got on that right out of the way. That ride it's fantastic. This ride's over 20 years old, and it's one of the first trackless rides they did. I think the first one was Aquatopia over there in Disney Sea, which was fun. So this ride, I don't know, this ride is it's just fun. It's so good. This is a great ride. It's like, I think this one, you can see the money in this one. You can see they spent, compared to Monsters Inc., which I didn't feel like that was like, oh, this is going to be insanely expensive. But you could see Pooh was probably an expensive ride to make. It's a fantastic ride. There's one point where you do the hopping with that is fantastic. It's so good.
That's what I always remember watching that ride through, is that effect that looks so awesome.
Yeah, it is a great effect. It's a great ride, and every time you ride it, you take different routes. You end up all going pretty much the same way. I think you go to the same places, but you get in a room and you're dancing around with like 3 or 4 other cars, and so they'll go one way, you go another way. Then if next time you're at it, you might go the other different direction, but you end up going to the same spots.
When we did Mickey Minnie's Runaway Railway for the first time, and I was kind of looking at some of the ride previews for that, and I was researching trackless rides, how Disney makes them. Honey Hunt was popped up, and then when I did Runaway Railway, I'm like, this is what that ride feels like, because there's some sequences in that attraction that are similar to like how you run around in Honey Hunt a little bit.
Yeah, it's a fantastic ride. It's one of my favorite. It's just a great ride. So we got off of that, and then we went straight to Haunted Mansion. Haunted Mansion is right next door. Haunted Mansion is actually in Fantasyland there, which is weird, but it is Nightmare.
Okay.
Before Christmas, and I've ridden the Nightmare Before Christmas when we were at Disneyland. And I wasn't a huge fan of that. I just like the regular version better. I'm not a huge. I don't have like great feelings to that movie like some do. It's fine.
I don't either. Yeah.
Yeah. It's whatever. So I'd rather just have the regular. I don't know if this one was better necessarily than Disneyland's, but I liked it better. I don't know if it was just my frame of mind. I can't really say that this was like, oh, they did so much better. I enjoyed it more for some reason. It's a great, it's Haunted Mansion. It's a great ride. Mm-hmm. I would have liked to have seen just the normal version, just so I could compare it better, because I can't compare that. I've only ever been on it ever once before, and so is this one better than Disneyland, Disney World's or not? Because I think Disney World has the superior haunted mansion.
Okay, yeah. So after that, you have on your list, I believe you went to Pan after this one.
To what?
Peter Pan after Haunted Mansion.
Yeah. Yes, that's right. We went to Peter Pan. Like I said, we're in Fantasyland at the time. Peter Pan is no fast pass there, and Peter Pan never gets like more than like 15, 20 minutes there.
Oh,
it's crazy.
Interesting.
I know. It's the old Peter Pan. Nothing's changed.
Yep.
If you want to go back 20 years and see Peter Pan, go to Japan. It's hasn't changed at all, but it looks fantastic. It looks like they just built it. Other than, it's Peter Pan. Nothing crazy, but yeah, it's a great. It's just. I mean, you feel like you could close your eyes, you think you're in Disney World. Yeah. Other than it may look a little better, but
that's
Disney World
cool.
30 years ago.
Yeah. And then after that was Big Thunder Mountain, I believe, and for your
Big
40th?
Thunder Mountain. So then I booked another Pooh's Honey Hunt because when we scanned in, I could.
Okay.
So we did Big Thunder and Big Thunder there. Big Thunder, awesome ride. I don't know that ride. My wife thought it was a little bit smoother. I think she mentioned. I didn't really notice the difference. I think if I were to rate them, I might like Disneyland slightly better, but it's a great.
Mm-hmm.
They're all great. Big Thunder is great no matter what park you're in. It's an awesome ride.
And then you mentioned, I think you had some food, but then I really want to get your take on Beauty and the Beast. You mentioned it was the best dark ride Disney might have ever done. This attraction's 3 years old ish, right?
Yeah,
and it has that really cool effect at the very end with the Beast turning back into the Prince. So why do you think it was the best? It's one of the best dark rides.
I think it has absolutely. First, there's like three aspects to ride: the queue, the pre-show, and the ride.
Yeah,
and it's every part is one of the best they've ever done. So I think as a package, it's just like it's like if you go Flight of Passage, it's a great queue, great ride, dumbest pre-show ever.
Yeah.
This is like the pre-show is awesome. It's some awesome animatronics. It's got a huge Beast animatronic and a Belle animatronic come out, and they're I don't know what you're saying. It's all in Japanese, but it's like awesome. It's a great, and the queue, it's like you walk up, it's the castle, and then you're walking through the castle, and it's incredibly themed, and it's a fantastic queue, one of the best queues, and the ride is really cool. I mean, it's different rooms. You go into a room, like the first room you go into is Be Our Guest. You can't. Japan really seems to like book reports.
Yeah,
this is a book report ride, and Be Our Guest is just, it's just like I said before, music that just you're dancing around the table while all this stuff's happening on the table. It's fantastic. You just go from one room to the next. The last is you get the transition, which is amazing, from the Beast to, and yeah, you get the dance at the end where you actually feel like you're going around while they're dancing in the big ballroom, and it feels like you're dancing. It just did a great job with the ride. It's just not. It's a fantastic ride.
So you have this opinion with Beauty and the Beast, but then you also wrote that Happy Ride with Baymax must have been some of the most fun you've ever had on any ride. So what was the difference?
Baymax is just pure joy.
What kind of ride system is it for those that I don't know what it is?
It's alien swirling saucers.
Okay. So what?
That's all it is.
But what makes that more fun than alien swirling saucers?
Once again, music. The music is it's just banger after banger. They got like 6 different songs.
Okay.
And if you go and go on TikTok or go on YouTube and you just it's like the whole, there's dances, there's specific choreography dances for each song.
Oh, you know what? I think I've seen this before. Now
And
that
the
that's ringing a
whole
bell. Yeah.
queue is dancing. The cast members running the thing are just going nuts. There's one guy. He is
He's loving life.
nonstop energy the whole time. He's dancing. It's just pure. It shows what you can do with such a simple ride, but
well, it shows when everyone's excited about it. Where I feel like Alien Swirling Saucers, at least to get on it, feels almost like a chore. Like you're just like waiting for it. We waited like we walked through the queue and we had to wait like one ride through before we could get on. So we had no wait because we had a DPA, and it was almost disappointing not to stand in the queue longer because it's just there's energy. We did it during the day. It's even better at night. But there's people who come to the park and they go there and they just dance all day long. I think they just stand there. They just stand outside. It was so much fun. It was just. Another one I had a lot of fun with was that stupid Luigi ride and out in California Adventure. That was another just fun ride, but this was like another level. Yeah,
I know a lot of people don't like that, but I just thought that was fun. The music was fun. It was a fun ride.
So
Mater's is fun too. Mater's but this is just like
it's the people that kind of make it. Right?
Yeah,
it's a simple ride.
It's great music, and it's that. I think one thing that's great in the park was when you have that energy that, things happen, kinetic energy, and this creates that. The ride system's moving, the people are moving, there's music. It just creates a really cool atmosphere. It's an awesome ride. Well, you think about that. Here you're in this, my wife's walking by. We're in this, you're in this place with all these awesome rides. Can you imagine if Alien Swirling Saucers was one of the individual lightning lanes?
I can't imagine that.
Yeah, but that's what this ride is, and it's one of the three rides that you have to pay to go on.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
it speaks to the energy of it. After that, you went to Splash Mountain. I know you're talking about it because you haven't rode Tiana's yet. But you did mention that like everything was in superb
condition,
form.
like everything's working well.
Yeah,
which has definitely been a problem for the Splash Mountain before they changed it over. Was like things just weren't working or just looked shoddy at the one in Florida and stuff like that. So
I just think that's one of the things that once you get behind on maintenance too, it's so hard to catch up. Yeah. And I think that's the situation that Disney World is in with all these parts. It's like we need to shut this thing down. Well, we can't afford to shut it down. They're kind of caught in a hard place, so they're behind. But it's like, the Facebook group I've talked about being on. There's people all up in arms because the Frozen ride is going down for refurb in May for 3 weeks. This ride, that'll be in less than a year, and they're shutting it down to refurb it already. It's just a different mindset,
Where in Florida, they feel like they can't do that.
Well, if you were in Discord today, there was a rumor, or maybe it was posted yesterday. There was a rumor that
I saw that Yulin posted something.
That Rise might be going down finally going down for some repairs. So
and you wonder. I was looking at that. I was wondering why has it not? Is it because? Is it because they just don't want to give up the money? I
think that's what it is. It must have just
park capacity. Park capacity. Well, no, it's part. What else is
of dollars in lightning lanes every day?
Yeah, nothing else is going to generate that kind of money.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they take that off and give it the lightning lane to something else, it's not going to be as So
we'll see. So after Splash, you said you took a break, went back to your hotel to get refreshed. You came back and you did a whole bunch of stuff. Just for the sake of time, because I really want to get to your take on Fantasy Springs. How was the second half of your Disneyland day, and what made it like an awesome day altogether?
Well, it's like we had rode. I mean, by the time I got off Splash, it was like noon, and we had done a lot.
Yeah,
we had got a lot done, and it didn't feel like we were jumping. It's kind of like we were going around in a until we got off Splash, and then we had to go to the Beauty and the Beast area. We're just going from one ride to the next, not like crisscrossing, not doing all this stuff. And the park was not nearly, I think the holiday crowds had finally left. People took a long weekend maybe, and the park was less busy. We had the vacation package. So it made the day flowed so well. We got so much done, and we just had so much fun. Before we leave, one thing I do want to mention before we leave, I was thinking about this. Literally, like I said, we had happy entry. We walked in at 8:30. There were people sitting down for the parade.
What time's the parade?
The parade is at 12:15 or 12:45. I don't remember.
So like a 4 hour, 3.5 hour.
But they weren't
hangout?
sitting down for that parade. They're sitting down for the Halloween parade at 3.
Oh,
So
wow.
they'll stay in that area. They'll watch the first one and they won't leave.
So it's
They
their
like
whole
their
day,
parade.
basically.
Because it's a new parade. That's what it's a big thing. Everybody's gotta. And I also think at least when they dress up too, there's like a lot of the princesses and stuff. They're walking around, and when you dress up, they interact with the people too. So I think that's some of it too. People want to get in front to get the interactions. But yeah, it's
Wow.
crazy. Dedication.
So what time did you get back to the parks after you took a break?
I think about 4-ish.
Okay, so a good solid 3 or 4 hours there.
We had like 2. I think maybe had 2 hours, two or 3. Yeah, I can't remember. It was like we were there for 2.5 hours. Took a little break. I mean, that's what's so nice when it takes you 5 minutes to get to your hotel.
Yeah, that's what makes it easy.
It's just so nice.
So okay, so now is your third day. No, excuse me. We're going into your last day there. Your Disney Sea vacation package day. That comes with the ability to get into Fantasy Springs, correct?
That's correct.
So how did you have this day planned, and how well did you execute it? So what are the things that you wanted to get done? Outside the obvious, of course.
The main thing was, we have Fantasy Springs, all the rides. We have DPAs for all those rides as much as we want. We have Tower of Terror DPA that we could select 2 other than the stuff we had for Fantasy Springs already.
Okay.
So I picked Tower of Terror and Soarin'. So I had those 2. Soarin' is like insanely popular there. It's
what
crazy.
version of Soarin' is over there? Is it over California?
It's around the world, but it
Okay.
ends in there's no Paris, which I know they fixed that, thank goodness, but there's no Eiffel Tower. But you do go past the Tokyo Tower, which is
okay.
like a replica of it anyway. So you fly over, and then you fly over Disney Sea.
Okay.
But so we had those 2. So my wife had missed Indiana Jones, so we rope dropped Indiana Jones again.
Did it work this time?
Yes. This is like the crowd was so much better after that first day. I mean,
Wow.
there's still people there, but it's night and day. It was really busy that Tuesday, and I got a Raging Spirits fast pass, or a 40th anniversary pass when we entered the park, which is right next to. So that was for like 11 or 12 o'clock, and Indiana Jones. And that area is really close to it's like where you enter Fantasy Springs. So that was like on our way to do that. So we did Indy, then we went into Fantasy Springs.
So you went in there rather early then?
Yeah.
Okay. So what did you do when were you really looking forward to Fantasy Springs? Was this going to be like a highlight of since it's one of the newest things? So, okay. So you're near the entrance. I want to go over this because I've just been watching videos of this and just sitting back in awe of just everything that goes in this part of the park. What was your mindset? What was the vibe of like walking into the entrance and getting in? Was it like super excited going in and then socks blown off type of thing? Like what was going through your head?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, it's the rock work at the front is pretty awesome, but really the rock work in the back is some of the real stars that you get. But the stuff in the front is mainly of the rides that are there. Like you got the Frozen, you got Peter Pan, and Rapunzel. That's sort of the rock work that as you enter, you see the like the stars of the land. So it's beautiful, and there's a little scrum. There's like two entrances. There's an entrance and an exit. So to go to the left, you enter. The right is to exit. Okay. It's like a two. So you got to go through a little bit of a scrum to get, you got to show your pass and let you in. We go in and we go to Peter Pan. The Peter Pan area is really cool. It's really well done. It's got the ship out there, Skull Rock, and you can go into the rock, Skull Rock. You can go out onto the ship. So and it just looks. It just fits in with Disney Sea. I mean, the level of theming just fits with everything else you saw. I didn't go in there and think, wow, this is so much better than the rest of Disney Sea. No, it's just more. It's just the same level of what you already saw. It's just with the rock work sort of being something that's different, but the theming itself it's just like the rest of the park. It's awesome.
Is this what, like, I when I watched some of the videos, it seemed like it was relatively flat. Where you mentioned it was like the rest of the park is multi-leveled. Is this one relatively same level?
I think I would say this is flat. This is flat. Okay. This is more like traditional what you would expect.
So you've got the Pan ride, you've got Tinkerbell, you've got Rapunzel, and I'm missing
Frozen.
The big one.
Which one was your favorite, and which one was the favorite
Peter
of
Pan.
your family?
Peter Pan. We all liked Peter Pan the best, which is not the most popular ride. Frozen is by far the most popular ride. But
were they all on par with each other? It was just this was the best of all of them, or was it like there was a clear delineation of ones that you liked and didn't?
I thought Frozen is awesome. Frozen is an incredible ride. And maybe it's part of it. There's a little bit of a thrill aspect to Peter Pan, and that park needs a little bit more thrill. So I think that helps. I don't know. And I had never ridden that ride system before. That's the Spider-Man and was it Transformers ride system?
Mm-hmm. What is that ride system? I haven't been on those other two attractions.
You're in like a box kind of container that's supposed to be a vehicle going around.
Right.
And it's like an omni-mover type thing. So it's on sort of like a Kuka arm. And it has screens, but it also uses physical sets as well.
Right.
So I'm not sure if I'm describing it well, but it's, kind of a controlled box that you're in that moves around like you're in a car, but it
sort of
moves
like
you around. Yeah.
A little bit. There's a little bit of like Star Tours.
Yeah.
But it's
moving through physical space.
But you're moving through physical spaces at the time. And, like if Star Tours was like this ride thing was three rows. There's a front and then a second row and a third row. I think you can do 4 per row.
I think so. Something like that. Yeah.
Like 12 people, a little 12-person car moving through physical spaces. And then with screens, and there's the way they do the transitions from like moving from one space to the next. It's just seamless. It looks fantastic. And when you actually Tinkerbell comes out and sprinkles some pixie dust on you, that's when your ride wheel starts to rise up, and then you take off. You go down a waterfall, and then Captain Hook and his boat's down there, and they're having a big battle, and it's like a 6.5 minutes long, I think, too. So it's a good length ride.
Yeah.
6 minutes is a decent length ride. So I was like, there was a lot of elements to the ride. At the end, you're flying over England, over
London.
Yeah. Thank you. And then after that you come back, right? Yeah. So I thought, well, this is the end. And then there was another element after that. After you drop Wendy and all them off, there's another element. But it's just one thing that helped is we were in the front. It's 3D too, so you have glasses.
Right.
We were in the front row. I think this is one ride where it kind of helps to be in the front a little bit. It doesn't ruin it if you're in the other rows, but it's better in the front. It
helps, yeah.
Yes. So we were in the front to start. And one thing about those rides too is they always lose. I don't know if you feel this way, like Soarin'. If you ride Soarin' like 2 or 3 times, but third time, it's lost, a little bit of that thrill. But the first time it was just like, whoa! It just caught us. It was awesome. It's a really good ride. This, like I said, this isn't the most popular ride. This opinion isn't,
I feel like when everything first opened, all the attention was on Frozen and Tangled, but now it's getting a little bit more pub. I think because of the ride system.
My opinion isn't. I'm not alone. There's a lot of people who have this opinion. More people like Frozen. Though. Frozen is the most popular. I mean, it's not even really. It's people go nuts over Frozen there. It's a great ride. So I'm not. But this ride was.
And there's rumors
really cool.
that the pan system is what they're going to use for the Avengers e-ticket at Disney California.
This was, and I had never ridden this ride system. Maybe if I had, although my nephew just came back from Universal, and when their Disney trip, they went to Universal too, and he liked. I didn't ask him about Transformers, but he said he liked it better than Spider-Man. But Spider-Man's an older ride too, so I don't know, but yeah, we all love that ride. It's a great ride. It's got a great queue. It's got a cute little pre-show. The pre-show is not fantastic, but it's fun. So it's a great ride.
So if you go, you said you did Indy first, then you went over into Springs. What time did you get out of Fantasy Springs?
We were probably in there for 2 or 3 hours, maybe. So 3
hours you're able to do all the rides and grab some meat?
One maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, we did them all. It was easy. Go on. Everything was. It's when you have a DPA, basically everything's a walk on.
Yeah. Okay.
So the only thing you don't get a DPA for is the Tinkerbell thing, which doesn't have Fast Pass. So you just go to the regular line.
Okay.
But you can go through it as many times as you want, and that's what we did next. That's more like Heimlich. Mm-hmm. I've never ridden Heimlich I don't know if you did that when you were there, Phil, but
yeah, we did. It was still there.
That's what everybody compares it to. It's a cute ride. It's fun. It's really well themed.
So after
did you? I just did want to ask. Did you eat in Fantasy Springs? I was just wondering about.
We ate at Peter. We ate at Peter Pan.
The Lost Boys.
The Lost Boys, and they have like these. There's one thing about I'll say about Japan is the menus are usually pretty limited at the parks. There's usually not a lot of selection. There's usually a few things. This one was really limited. You could get like lemon pepper chicken, lemon chicken. And then the other one was a curry chicken. We all got the curry. And they were like these little snack boxes with like some weird stuff in it. They were all good. It had some rice cakes or something different stuff in it and a bunch of tenders. They were really good though. And it was like $6 for these little snack boxes. It's not like a full, I wouldn't say it's full meal, but it's a really nice little
snack.
It's a little snack, little, yeah. That was good. And really cool restaurant, the Lost Boys stuff. It's really well themed. Beautiful. All the restaurants, everything there's really well done.
So your notes on Discord really didn't go over too much of what you guys did after Fantasy Springs, but I know you had Tower of Terror. How was that compared to the other ones here in the stateside, and what else did you guys end up doing for the rest of the day?
Tower of Terror is that's a really cool ride. That's one thing about, I think that Tower of Terror in general, having been on 3 different ones, they're all really good. This is one ride that they've done 3 different themes to now that they've redone the one, and they're all awesome. They're all great. I still think the original is the best because none of the others have the move through the space.
The Twilight Zone part.
Yeah. But it's got the Joe Rody as the bad guy and all that. It's incredibly well themed queue. It's a really cool. I think we only rode it once, but from what I understand, it's the same every time. It doesn't have the randomization, and I would say it's a slightly less intense than the others. But it's Tower of Terror. It's awesome. It's I don't know that it's the best one, but like I said, I think all of the Tower of Terrors are awesome, and this is a great ride. Soarin', that is better. That's better than the ride is basically the same itself. It's not much difference in the ride, but the queue and the story that goes along with it is really, really fantastic. It looks really cool.
My wife hates the queue for Soarin'.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad.
I mean, they're like missing ceiling tiles and there's wires hanging. It was just like, it was awful. It was awful.
Yeah, it's got a really, really cool queue. And they love that right there. I mean, it is like, it can get 120, 180 minutes.
Wow.
Wait, it's crazy. But so we got a standby. We had to actually get a standby pass to go to the Duffy store.
That I can see. Duffy's huge, right?
They sometimes, depending, you have to check the app every day and see if there's any standby passes for any of the shops. Because sometimes if there's something that's being released or something,
sure,
they'll have standby passes, because it's when when there's something new, they go really crazy for it. So I got that for my wife and my daughter. They fell to the cult of Duffy. So you can.
Yep, that's what.
Yeah,
I was going to bring that up. I saw that in the background.
That's her stuff there. My daughter had she's got 2 Duffy hats, and they bought Duffys, and it's funny because the store, it's a really cool store. The Duffy, you can only get Duffy stuff at Disney Sea. That store is Scrooge McDuck's, like it's his department store. It's just funny. It's themed after Scrooge, but it's all Duffy. It's all Duffy. But it's a really well themed little shop, and it's got all this old cool stuff along the top of it that makes it look like an old department store and stuff. But yeah, and then so we did that, and then we went back to Fantasy Springs for night.
That's what I was going to say, because I see all the pictures for the nighttime. I love all Disney parks at night. I think it's just it's totally different than the daytime.
Well,
does that hold true?
Love it there because at 4:45 it was dark.
yeah.
So you get a lot of nighttime action that time of year. No, it is beautiful at night. We rode everything again. It's beautiful. It's really beautiful at night. And then the rock work, as you walk to the back by the Fantasy Springs Hotel, that's where all this other, if you've seen pictures of the other rock work of the other stuff, that's where all that is. Mm-hmm. And that's just it. You can just spend 2 hours back here looking at the rock work. It's the detail. It's amazing. It's really, really beautiful. Back by that hotel is beautiful.
When I imagine, not so much the new Cars Land going in Magic Kingdom, but when I imagine what they might do for Villains Land down the road, I just hope that they bring the level of detail that they did here to that part of the park.
Yeah,
where
that could be really cool.
Whatever the way they do it, I just don't want it to be like, you have your restaurants, your shops, and your 2 rides, and it's just kind of be there. Like I'd like to see where you can kind of walk around and kind of get lost in a little bit, and have different sections of the land rather than be tight and compact. So I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully the kind of that translates well.
What's really cool about that land. I think I say at that land, I wish they had there's not much going on. I guess I've seen somebody video when there was characters out. I didn't see any characters. Like if you see Hong Kong's Frozen, they got the little guy, they come out, the little troll that talks, that comes out, and that they've cast. There's none of that there. So I think they didn't, most of the buildings are really cool, but they're mostly facades. The only real shop is in the hotel. So I think if there's any downers part of it, I think that's it. There, you can go into some of the ones you can go into are either a ride or a restaurant.
Okay.
So
fair enough. That just sounds like an amazing adventure that you got. We're gonna wrap it up. Phil, we went, I think, the longest that we have on a singular.
Yeah, I was hoping that Zencaster didn't.
I was waiting for that. Hoping it doesn't cut us off. But no, Scott, I really, really appreciate you spending so much time with us, detailing your trip. Like it's we had the Disney side, but we also had all last week where we talked about your trips in Japan, in Tokyo and nearby as well. what were you, just to kind of stick with the Disney portion of things, what was your main takeaway going to a couple things that are like just stand out to you in Tokyo Disneyland versus, Disneyland here or Disney World here?
I do think one of the main takeaways is like we talked about, is the level of maintenance and how everything looks awesome. I mean, it just looks like, you talked about Soarin' Cute. That would just never fly there. That would never happen there. I just can't imagine that, because there's nothing out of place. It's just beautiful. Things run, things work. The cast members, and I think the cast members' estates are awesome too, but the cast members are just awesome there. The people, they just want to help. It's the joy. I'd never seen so much waving. Everywhere you go, somebody's waving.
Yeah.
If you're on a boat, the people on the shore are waving at you. If you're in the boat, you're waving at the people at the shore. All the cast members are waving. You're going in, everybody's waving. It's just It
sounds like people there are just there to have fun and a good time.
And
like maybe everyone's doing, their focus is different things. Some people it's the pictures and dressing up, some it's the parades, whatever. Whereas in, I don't know, Walt Disney World, it seems like so many people are on a mission to like get everything done because they've spent so much money and invested so much. I think there's some good lessons stuff,
even for myself there, because I got stressed at times. They seem to not be so stressed. So they seem to
they're always having the vacation and the vacation.
I was just going to say, yeah,
that's true. And they're not traveling halfway across the world.
I mean, it's
to
not
get there, but
it's probably not their one shot to be there like it is for most of us.
Yeah, I think those are some of the main things. It's just it's a beautiful, beautiful park. It's once you get there, it's cheap.
Yeah, the dollar.
I mean, that helps. I mean, it hurts me sometimes when I go anywhere, not just Disney World, anywhere, and it's you look and I'm like, oh my goodness, that cost, and then I cheap out. I'm known for that. Even doesn't matter how much money I've saved, I see that price, like I can't pay that for a steak.
Yeah.
I do that. My wife doesn't have that issue. I have that issue. So it helps me enjoy a trip a lot. That's why I always like having the meal plan. We always got the free meal plan, and that helped me relax and enjoy the vacation a lot more. So when things are a little bit cheaper, and it just helps me to have a better time.
The stress levels go way down for that. No, I get that as well. I mean, when I did my adults only trip, like we were spending money all over the place. It was like, I only have to pay for 2 people.
Yeah.
I don't have to pay for 5. This is great. We did dessert parties, this, that, and the other. So yeah, the money is definitely a stress level. Save on that. And it's interesting that you say cast members and maintenance, because no matter who you read or who you talk to, that's the same takeaways. So that just goes to show, Phil, for somebody, I've never been there. I don't know whenever I will get a chance to go over there. However, if that's everybody's take, then it must be something that's truly evident and obvious if that's everybody's main take. So I'm really curious just to get, I would love to be able to see that myself and just be like, well, if everybody's saying this, it must be something that's truly evident in front of you. And I guess that's the case. Again, Scott, thanks so much for joining us for 2 evenings here, or 2 short shows worth of content. That's awesome, and we really appreciate that. Phil, is there anything else that I forgot to ask or mention?
No, I guess just real
our DBC engagement for the new year.
Just real quick, you talked about already planning another trip. Do you have any other details or kind of specifics or anything that you're like, what you learned from this trip you're going to try to put forward to the next one?
Phil, you just extended the show another half hour.
Okay, well, all right.
I was going to continue this conversation on Discord because I'm curious, but go ahead.
Just real quick.
We're like I said, we're going to do a Tokyo part of the trip. Then I'll probably stay in Asakusa, like I talked about before. I really like that area. We're going to go north, I think, this time up to Hokkaido, which is the farther northern island.
Okay.
And I'm not even. I think this isn't going to be a big Disney trip. I do think I'm going to try to get to Disney Seas so I can ride
Journey to the Center
of the Earth. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, we'd take a day trip there and chill. But that's still in flux. It's so far out that I can move things around. But that's kind of what we're planning.
Gotcha. Sounds
awesome.
good.
So New Year's should be in 2 days from now, Phil? I think this is going to be airing on the 30th. I think.
Yeah, it should come out on the 31st. It might actually come out on New Year's Eve. So
New Year's Eve.
So I'm back in Japan. I'm in the future again.
Yeah, that's it.
It's
that's
like
it.
15 hours ahead.
So this week's DVC engagement, we haven't had one for a couple weeks. But what are your Disney plans for 2025? Do you have trips planned? Do you have multiple trips planned? If you're not going, what are you doing instead? And bring a little bit of Disney World back to your home. Let us know. Even if it's not something that's planned, but you're thinking about it, let us know. We'll have this posted so you guys can comment. Again, everybody else, thank you for watching and listening, and we'll catch you next time.
Take care, everyone.